The waters around the island of Sodor were still. Both Brendan Docks and Knapford Harbour almost eerily dead silent. But the previous night before, the railway and its engines came face to face with a legend that they never thought they would see in their lifetime. They had seen the ghost of the most famous ship the world had ever seen, RMS Titanic. She was to be colossal, magnificent, built to match the vision of the men who made her, men driven by boundless ambition, by a sense of foreboding, and by absolute conviction. Altogether, Titanic took over 6 years in the making to design and build, but on her maiden voyage in April 1912, she hit an iceberg and sank in 2 hours and 40 minutes, taking 1,500 souls with her to her watery grave. In the aftermath of the Titanic disaster, her legend grew so big and far greater than any other ship in history. In 1985, her wreck was discovered, and soon after, books and films were made to further increase it. By 2012, after 100 years, her legend reached new levels. The world gave her their deep sympathy, respects, and to let their emotions know of just how touched they were by her loss. A loss that came too early. Now it was 2016, and 104 years would pass since the disaster took place. But this time, the engines of the North Western Railway were going to get their first encounter with Titanic, and it would change their working lives forever. This is the story of the engines who saw the spirit of the lost ocean liner, and how it would cement its legend into Sodor's own. This is Titanic. She was born in the first decade of the 20th century during the Edwardian era, at a time where great ocean liners ruled the waves. At the time of her construction, she was the world's biggest ship, being over 46,000 tons and 882 feet long from bow to stern. She was unlike any other ship the world had ever seen, surpassing all her rivals, her main strength of that of what was luxury, which many shipyards were trying to compete and outdo others, to see who could build the biggest, the lavish, the fastest. It represented the pride of nations which was at stake, and the pride of workers too. With Titanic and her sisters Olympic and Britannic, her owners, the White Star Line, hoped to achieve a monopoly on the transatlantic route and drive all competition out of business. Tragically, the Titanic never fulfilled that promise, and her sinking was on a scale of such magnitude never before seen that it marked the death of an era. For several decades, stories of her ghost had been cited, but were never told to the public. The Flight Controller's engines had heard and seen Titanic with her fame from the films, photos, and posters that were held or presented whenever the anniversary in April came. However, the news of the supernatural occurrences had never taken place on the island of Sodor. But all of that had changed. And it all started in the beginning of 2016.